It is impressive that we've come this far, and everybody that have gotten to this video and have been following through, congratulations to you. So of course, it is not everything about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that you've learned, because there is nowhere, there is no course, there is no class anywhere that can teach you all. So what happens is, it is the most important thing you've learned. Now you didn't even learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript alone. You've also learned how to write codes. You've learned perseverance, because you grow into errors. It won't work the way you expected it to work. So you've learned a lot of things along the line that will keep you going. So I'm more advanced. Nothing from my experience, there is nothing advanced beyond what we've learned. If there are anything different, they are just little things. And you continue to learn this as you continue to build project and to proceed. So before we move to React.js, I want us to build 1 or 2 JavaScript applications with the knowledge of what we've had across different. I will just pick tutorials, maybe 4 or 5 of them, or 6, depending on the motivation. So we'll build. Some of these tutorials are actually also available online elsewhere, but here I'm going to explain to you how those tutorials work. So we want to first of all build a JavaScript calculator that does little calculation like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So let's see how we quickly come up with that. So what I'm going to do is, this is our JavaScript code, everything how we started. All right, so I'm going to create a new folder. So I'm going to File, New Window. So I want to create a new folder such that it's going to be like practice folder for this JavaScript class. So I'm going inside this folder. I'm going to open a folder. So I will come to my desktop, I think. So I will add a new folder to my desktop. I will call it practice create. So I will open. All right, so my VS Code has opened practice. All right, so here I'm going to create folders. So I'm going to create another folder. I will just create it directly from here. This is the button. I will call this calculator folder. All right, so this is a folder. So I'm going to create a file inside this folder. So I will call this file index.html. Then we're going to have a file called new file. So I'm going to call this index.js. So that this will be the Java. No, it's index.js. Let me rename this index.css. So this will be the CSS. So I'm going to get the CSS file from somewhere and drop here. That's the CSS file that will power the application. Then from there I'm going to drop a link. I'm just going to drop a link to the CSS file where you can copy it from my GitHub. So on my GitHub, I mean, you all can create a GitHub account now. We'll get to GitHub very soon, and follow me on GitHub as well. So index.css. So HTML. This is CSS. HTML5. So I'm going to change this to calculator. This calculator is going to be very simple. It doesn't even have much of JavaScript. It has does it have JavaScript? It doesn't have much of JavaScript. Just JavaScript inbuilt into HTML, because I'm going to be working with this a lot as well. So that is just it. So we're going to have a form called form we're going to call the form calculator. Just leave the action empty. We give it a class of calculator, then name. I'm going to give it a name. Just call it calc. All right. So because we're going to, like I told you before, most websites, all you deal with is forms. Every website you see, Google, anything you are entering, most times they come in form of form. So you'll be dealing with form a lot. So so we're going to be creating some number of span. So first of all, we're going to create, because we want to build a calculator. So a calculator should, I don't have where I can do drawing. A calculator should have a screen like our calculators we used to use. There's always a display like a screen. So first of all, create that screen with input, but this input is going to be read only. Read only in the sense that since okay, just hold on. Input. So we're going to give it a class of value. So that's where the result of the calculation will be coming out from. Type of text. We're going to give it a name called test2. Then we're going to give it this read only. We're going to give it this particular attribute read only. So what it means is that you can only read it. So let me close this. We are done with this. So web class. Okay, sorry. I want to open the file. Practice. All right. Calculator index.html. So yep, this is it. As you can see, I cannot type inside. That is that read only. I can't type inside because the attribute is read only. And I don't know if I've removed the read only. I can type. So that's it. So sometimes you see things like this and you cannot type inside. It is to display. I can no longer type. It is just to display something for us. So that is that. So we want to create the buttons for the calculator from 1 to 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. So but there's a way it's going to arrange. So we're going to be doing it that way from the top to the bottom. So if you see a calculator, it always have 7, 8, 9. All right, then 6, 7, 8, 9. Then you now see 4, 5, 6. Then you now see 1, 2, 3. Then 0. Then 00. All right. So that is how it's going to follow. But meanwhile, we're going to have a button that helps us to clear, like a clear button. So we're going to have span. We give it class. We give it a class of number clear. All right. So most of these classes will be defined inside our JavaScript, inside our CSS file. All right. So the index.css file, I'm going to paste the class styling. All right. So but as we proceed, you would see how everything comes to play. All right, I'm not going to add it now. I'll just type it and that's all. So clear, number clear, then on click. Okay, should I come to on click? Okay, don't let me put on click for now. So let me just put it. So this is C. So that C means clear. So if I refresh now, we've seen it C. Clear. All right. So we'll come back to that later. So then we'll also go to span. We're going to be using span a lot. This time around is just number. Is number. So that's the class. Then the first one is going to be division, that's division sign. So then the next one is going to be multiplication, which is star. The next one is going to be so 7. The next one is going to be 8, 9, right? So 8, 9. Then the next one is going to be minus sign. So that's minus sign. So the next one is going to be 4, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. So the next one now is going to be 3. That's 3. The next one is going to be 4, then 5. Oh, sorry. This is 7, 8, 9. 9, then 6, 4, 5, 6, then 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. It's going to be 1, 3, 2, 1. Then we'll have 0. Then after 0, we'll have double 0. So that you want to put, instead of, if you want to type 200, you just type 2, then double 0. Then we have dot. Okay, then lastly we're going to have the last one, which is which will help us to calculate the value, equals to. So because when you say 1 plus 2, you always press the word equals to, so it's the same span. So we're going to say equals to. All right, so number equals to. So let me save now and come back here to refresh. Okay, so we have it all. C/*. This is division, this is multiplication, this is subtraction, this is addition, this is dot, this is equals to. So it's not making sense now because we've not added the class. So what we'll do now is to add the class to it to make it, to allow it to make sense. So link CSS, so style.css. Okay, so I name it index.css. So like I said, whatever you name it, that is what it's going to be. So if I refresh now, yep, see the difference. The styling made a whole lot of difference to the application. So if I click 7 now, as you can see, everything has been styled 0 dot equals to. So I'm going to put a link to this CSS file in this video so that you just copy and paste. Then you might also want to take a look at it to deepen your knowledge. So this is the body. This star means let this apply to the whole document. So if I remove it now and come back to HTML and refresh, you see a bit of difference, though not really much, but you can see this one becomes bigger. All right, so you can just play around it to see how everything works. So this body now, if I remove it, see the background color, the minimum height, align center, justifies content center, display flex. So if I remove it now and refresh, see, scattered. All right, so just play around the CSS file, so that you can learn one or two things. If you've seen any attribute that you've not seen before, just take a look at it, remove it, and see what it does. So it might be useful to you when you are building an application or the other. So this is clear, this is 00. So how do we now make it apply here? That is why JavaScript will now come up. So when you click on this, click, write 7 here. So let's first of all start with the numbers. So when I click on 7, what happens? So I've taught you that we can use actually on click. There are a lot of JavaScript inbuilt HTML attributes we can use. So on click, it means when you click this button, what happens? So this is going to take a JavaScript function, for instance. So a JavaScript code. And don't forget, when I said when we're writing our JavaScript, we used to write things like document dot. So let me come down here, script. So if I want to get the value of this text now, I can just say variable test tst. This is this text equals to document, just wash document dot calculate, that's calc dot test tst, because I want to reference this input. So I'm first of all document, that's the node parent. The next one is this calc from the word name, calculator. Then the next one is test. So it's going to look for the document that has class and test. So dot test. So dot value. Okay, so if there is anything that is inside, so if I now do console.log, let me write test, see what tst, see what would happen. So here, let me put value, let me add the value directly and put display. So that's what we want to display. So if I save now and I refresh, can you see showing display, but I cannot edit it. So if I come to inspect, I come to console, can you see the word display is showing? I console.log the value. All right, so I can as well say that this document, I can as well say document dot test. I can as well say variable t document dot test dot value equals to 7, for instance. So this variable test is equals to document dot calculator dot test dot value. Here I'm setting the value to 7 directly. All right, so if I come back here, I refresh, okay, let's go down. Okay, so of course let's just revert to the initial thing we did, how we were able to show the content here to display. So now if I click display, so console.log display, so if I refresh this, so it's showing display. So I want to say when I click 7, for instance, I want the value of this document.txt to be equals to 7. All right, so I want it to be equals to 7. So I will just say document dot cal dot, don't forget, this is it, document dot calc, this calculator dot test, this test dot value. So dot test dot value, I will set the value to a variable equals to 7. Watch it very well. This is double quote that is closing this. Then this is the single quote for this 7. So on click, what I'm saying is that change the value of the display to 7. So let me save it now and come back, refresh. So if I click 7, can you see the value automatically changes to 7? If I click it, so I can do the same thing for all of them. So I can easily come here and write this. Then change this one to 8. Change this one to 9. Change this one to minus. All right. So change this one to 4. change this to 5. So let me pause so you can now do. I paused so that I can save time. So I expect that you've done the same thing. So to correct, this is showing green and that means something is wrong. So I need to put space. All right. So this number plus now is having an additional class plus that makes it different from every other one. Just like the way this, I think this equals to is also supposed to have equal plus clear. All right. So if you go to the CSS, we can easily see for ourselves. That's calculate dot plus. Can you see? Calculator span dot plus. So that plus is different. Clear is different. Then equals to it makes the background of equal different. That of clear different. So as you can see, clear, see the color. See, it's the same with this color. Then equals to this color. Okay, this color is not supposed to be this. Okay, equals to, I think this is supposed to change. Then plus is longer. Okay, so that's why it is a bit longer, just to make sure the size of the calculator is the same. So plus is a bit longer. That's why his own style is a bit different, because the grid row is span 2. All right, so that's all. We don't need to spend time on CSS. Then this number equal, am I sure that is equal span dot equal? Okay, because the background color is supposed to change. Yep, so it has changed to blue. So that's that. Then so we can now test 8, 5, 2, 4, 7. So if you click 9 plus 9 equals to, so we now want to, it's not working yet. 9 plus 5 equals to 45. What if I want to click 45? Equals to, so it's not working now. 78. So what we need to do is that we need to concatenate. Oh, this one too is supposed to have its own click. All of this when you click it too. Sorry. So it's not completed. So let me add the click to all of this. Èmi wà nílé, à ń ṣiṣẹ́ láti ilé ní báyìí. So everything is now, the unclick is now applicable to all of them. So but the issue is that we cannot write 89 together, we cannot write 56, we cannot write 2000 together. So how do we write 8 and 9 such that they both come up? So we can use concatenation to do that. So remember, I don't know if I've used this before. So if I say variable text equals to, let me remove that display, or let me just say, okay, how will I explain it? Okay, so let me take, for instance, if I want to output, so I want to have variable 7, variable a, I want to explain what I want to do, equals to 7. So this is not as an integer, just as a string. B equals to 8. So if I want to concatenate 7 and 8, if I want to bring it together, so what will I do? I can just do console.log a, look at it, a concatenation, that's the concatenation symbol is plus b. So this will not return 7 plus 8. It will not return 7 plus 8 is 15. It's not going to return 15 because it is seeing these two as as strings. So let me do Control X. Let me save it. Let's go to the, can you see console 7 8? It brought it together. 7 and 8, that's concatenation. But if I do this now, if JavaScript sees that there are two integers and you are using the plus, it's going to see this as a plus operator. So if I refresh now, you will see 15. So it's carrying out the addition because what is seen here are two integers, but initially they are string. So string can be concatenated, and that is what we want to put here. We want to concatenate 7 with whatever you press with it. All right. So I can as well do, so I can say variable. So that's the difference between concatenating an integer with a string. So the same method we are going to use here is using this concatenation method. So here we are going to put, if we want to write 78, we're going to put document.calculate.text.value plus, we're going to add a plus button. Plus equals to, that means it should concatenate the initial value plus this value and set the new value to the addition. All right, so that is what it simply implies. So if I click 7 and 8 now, let me go and click 7 and 8. 7 8. Oh, just a minute. To put plus in front of this 7, plus in front of this 8. So here I've removed the value variable that I set to empty. I've removed it. So it has no value. It is the value that this one sets to it that it takes. So what this is saying is that document.car.text.value, whatever is the value, it will first of all pick it as it is, nothing is there. So it will now add this, it concatenate this 7 to it and pass it as the new value. So if 7 was there initially and you want to press, and you press 8, so 7 is the first value, concatenating it with the new value 8 and returning both of them as the new value. So it's as simple as that. All right. So here, so if, let me clear this, refresh. I've not done that of clear. So 7 8. Can you see the moment I got to 9, it cleared it. It removed the value of this display. So, but if I write 5 now and I put 8, it will write 5 and 8 because the 8 button, this 8 button has the word concatenation, has this concatenation when I click on click. So it picks 9, concatenate it with 8 and return 88 as the value, as the document.value. So that's how this button works. It picks its initial self and add a new value to it. So plus, so what we have to do across board is to put plus, add plus to all of them from this particular slash. All right, because we need it all along. So here I'm going to write plus. So everything here. So plus to all of them. All right. So what's now left is the clear. How do we undo the clear? Clear simply means it will change the value here to empty. So it's very straightforward and simple. So just copy on click. When you clear it, it automatically change the value to empty string. So let's go back. So let me click 9. Let me click clear. Fresh. 9. Clear. Oh, it's shifting it. Oh, there is a plus. It's concatenating it. You see, every time I click that clear, it's pushing the value. It's concatenating empty string there. So it's not supposed to have plus. It's supposed to remove what is there and make it empty. Okay, let me refresh. 9 clear, so you can see now it's empty. So there's a way we can 8 5 plus clear, so it's empty. You can't click inside, can't type anything, you can clear. So now that plus sign has been able to help us to do 9 divided by 3, 2 for instance, equals to. So that's the new thing we need to do, clear. So maybe 8 times 5 equals to, clear. So we now need to evaluate this value that is here as the value of this text. We now need to evaluate it. So times as much as possible times. So that concatenation is helping us to continue to add value to it. So if I want to write 1 to 10 now, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. All right, so that's how to do it. So next here, this equals to, I think we are done. So what we now need to do is to evaluate equals to. So when there is an on-click, what should happen? The value of the text should be the evaluation of whatever is inside the text. So if it is 2 plus 2, it should evaluate that it will now evaluate whatever is there as just like console.log a plus a. So and we're going to use the inbuilt function called eval. Evaluate is a function inbuilt. String x, look at it, evaluate. So you can read more about this evaluate function. So what do we put inside? We'll put the calculate dot whatever is inside the display, we want it to be evaluated dot test. So you can easily see this because you can easily use calculate dot test dot value. That's the value of this particular display. All right, so if I refresh it now, so it's changing it's evaluating whatever is there presently and passing it as the new value of the display. Simple. So like I said, the same way when you get the value document.car.test.value, the initial value that is there, concatenate it with this one and pass it to this as the new display value. So it's as simple as that. Don't worry, don't beat yourself too much if you don't get it at once. Just make sure your code works. Don't bother about all those explanations. Just make sure if your code is working, the learning you will continue to understand when we now do more tutorials. So if I go back here and I click refresh and I do 7 divided by 2 and I click equals to, it evaluates it to 3.5. So I can easily say 3.5 plus because that's the value that is there. So that this plus is there is a concatenation adding it, so I can say 2.52. So if I evaluate it, it gives us 6. So we've successfully been able to build a simple JavaScript calculator. All right, so using this simple method. There are other methods where you can write all the functions here, but I think this is one of the easiest methods to just use the on-click button and use this evaluation to evaluate whatever is inside what is there. So what I was trying to change then was to change this name to display, that input to change it to display, so that it can help us to understand it better. So here now you can now easily change all of this to display, so that you will understand that we are changing the value of the display. So it makes it, using the right word makes learning easier. So it's not compulsory to change yours, but I just believe it makes it more. So let's test now and see if everything is working well. So 8 plus 6 equals to 14. So clear value. Okay, so that value is still test. It says not defined, so we need to change it to display. So that's why we need to test to see that what we are doing is correct. So if this is the display, so 9 clear and 9 by 5 equals to good, clear. 8 times 5 equals to. So it's good. So it's easy that way. So that's how to easily write a JavaScript. That's how to write a JavaScript calculator. So let's move to another tutorial. Okay, if you have completed your calculator, please screenshot this calculator, share with me on Twitter, and tag me at Tosin. Please, I will be waiting for that tag, for that work. Everybody, you must do that, so I know that you are following this course. Then also don't forget to subscribe and share with somebody who might need it. At the end of this course, probably it's taking us 6 weeks, 6 months, max, you'll be a Solidity developer, a blockchain developer. I guarantee you that. All right. So now I just want us to build a little more application to add to what we have now. So we are going to be building a small password toggle. That you want to enter password, you will see one button that will ask you to either click that button to make it visible or not. So how is that done? So let's quickly have that. So let's create a new folder inside practice and call it toggle. I hope I get the toggle. Okay. All right. So I'll just create a file inside it, and I'll call it index.html. We're going to be fast. I don't want this to take more than maximum 20 minutes. So HTML, yep, we are up. So title, let's just leave that. Let's just move straight to okay, toggle password visibility. Okay, so here going to have a div. I don't want to copy the code and give to you. So this div will have a class called container. All right, then I'm going to have h1 sign up, just like normal sign ups. Then we're going to have form method of post. I've explained this to you. Then I'm going to have paragraph label for username. Going to be fast, so you can pause at any instance if I'm moving too fast. So it's nothing much. Then input, this input will just be text. The name will be username ID username. Input type text, name username, ID username. So I'm going to have another paragraph. This one is going to be for password, label for password. Okay, then password, we're going to have input of type password, enter. So name, password, then ID, password. All right, so from here we can now move on to add a small, we call it tag, iframe. Okay, so I'm going to click enter. So I'm going to give it a class of by slash. Okay, so and I'm going to give it an ID of toggle password. password. Don't forget, we'll use those things that are very important. So then after this, we're going to have the button with type, submit, though we are not going to use this, id, submit, then class submit. All right, so login. This is what you see on most websites. Yep. So that is that. We're going to be using two styling. We're going to be using an external styling. That is, we're going to be linking to an external file. So an external file that is called Cdn. We usually call it Cdn. I will teach you how to use that now. Then of course, some of you must have heard of Bootstrap before. Bootstrap is actually like a framework that makes writing HTML code easier. So I mean, because I don't want to really focus on HTML like that. That's why I didn't get to Bootstrap. Of course, if you want to get an hand over Bootstrap, you can just go to YouTube. You can see some introductory videos around Bootstrap, how you can make your work very easy, how you can use Bootstrap to actually design a whole website without necessarily writing the CSS code. So the CSS code, the HTML, everything is already, even JavaScript is already built into the framework. So all you just need to do is to access the Bootstrap. So you will be hearing about Bootstrap. I mean, this might be the first time I will be saying it in the course of this course, but of course. So here we're going to simply put a link. So link, this is link, this is an external file. Let me just put link like this. All right. So now what I told you the other time is that we talked about Bootstrap and that we can use Bootstrap Cdn we can reference an external file, all right, on the internet somewhere here, and it will work like we added it normally. So let me put another link, CSS, style.css, because we are going to also have I'm going to create a new file inside Togo folder and put style.css. This is a local style. So, but we still want to access an external style. Okay, so which can allow us to use some basic this toggle button without necessarily having to crack our brain around that. So I'm going to paste the styling here. Oh, sorry. I'm going to paste the style here. All right. So, I mean, I don't want to start typing. I already have it written here. So what you can do now is to go to my YouTube, to my GitHub. I'll put the link in the video so you can see all the codes there. Even if you are making mistake, you will see all my codes there. All right, so you can just copy and paste it there, then take a look at it if you want to do anything. So I'm already referencing it. So let me click save and let me check. So practice. Let me go to toggle index.html. That this external styling gave the website a bit of sense. So if I remove this, you will see how it's going to look like. Save. Oh, sorry. Cancel. If I refresh, see it. So let me return the styling. So this styling helps us to make it more beautiful like this. All right. So now there is this I button here that is supposed to come up here. All right. It will only come up when we now use the CDN. The CDN that we are going to have come here. So you must be online. So just type Bootstrap icon CDN. Bootstrap icon CDN. Can you see it? Bootstrap icons CDN. So I'm going to click on this, on the first one. Then there is going to be a link a link to the icons. This is it. HTML, blah blah blah, JavaScript, JS, deliver. So I'm going to copy all of this now, like this. Copy, and come here and paste it here. So all the link. Right. So this is it. HTTPX Cdn. So you must, because I'm online, so just Google it, then it came up. So it will be referencing this CDN such that I will be able to use all of these 60 icons on my website. So each of the icons has a way of using them, and you can click, I think. Okay, so I think there's a place you can see which one to use per time. All right, so this is it, icons. So it will load icons. Then if I want to use this icon, for instance, this is the code I'm going to use. BI activity. Can you see? I'll just use I class BI activity. Then this comes up for me. So let me copy it, for instance, so that you can see, and paste somewhere here. All right. So because I'm already referencing it here, the CDN here, so it will automatically bring that logo for me. So if I refresh now, okay, look at this. So I think that is hanging somewhere. So let me bring this up. Oh, so as you can see, it's up now. All right, so it's up. So I don't know why this BI activity is not coming up, but just leave it there. I think it's helping to make this styling even work. I think it was not working initially. So let me remove it. Okay, so I think everything works. Oh, okay. Let me see it here. I just want that logo to BI to come up. Oh, I don't know why it's not coming up, but it should come up. That of this toggle is already showing. This is it. So, and that's the main focus here. All right. So that's the BI slash. So that's the toggle. So if I remove this, for instance, cancel. If I remove this, for instance, see, it is no longer there. So if I return it back and I come here to this external CDN, I also remove that. I refresh, it will not show too, because that icon is coming from this particular Bootstrap Cdn, which is on the internet. So okay, let's return. Okay, let's slash. So let me refresh. Okay, so everything is okay now. So what we just need to do now, if I type, it's not showing. So all we need to do now is to create a JavaScript function that when we click this, it will remove this cross slash. Just put only I there, then it will be displaying what is in the dashboard, in the password. Let's quickly write that out in the script. So down here, I'm going to write script here. Then the work begins. So I'll be very fast. So const dot toggle password equals to document dot music query selector into hash toggle password. Okay, so then after that, constant does password itself, constant password equals to document dot query selector. Then since it is an ID, so we use hash. If it is class, we use star password. All right, so then we want to add an event listener to this toggle password. We've given it an ID so that when we click on it, something, it changes the class from bi/bi slash to just bi/bi without a slash. So that means the person is now seeing it. Then it will change the type of this input from password to text, because if it is ordinary text like username, we can easily see it, but because the type is password, that's why it can't be seen. All right, so if I change this to text now, for instance, this input to text, I think I've explained this before. Change it to text now and come here to type anything. You see, we are seeing it. So, but it's supposed to be password. All right, so toggle dot add event listener. So the event listener we're going to add is click. Then they will now put the cover function, arrow function. You can use the arrow. Yes, cover function, and say constant type equals to password dot get the attributes. I'm getting the attribute of password because that's the that I selected. I'm changing the type. So I'm getting the attribute type. I'm changing the value. So I'm saying if it is password, I'm going to explain this to you. So constant type equals to password dot get attribute type is exactly password. Then change the type to, the type becomes text. I'm going to explain in details. Text. S, change the type to password. So I'm going to explain this to you. So what we're saying is that if this is if and else statement, and I've used it different times, we want to check we want to set a value for type, and we want the type to either be text or password. That is this particular type. That's what we're referring to. We are getting this password attribute. We want to change, we want to set a new type for it. But first of all, we are saying get the type attribute of password, this password dot get the attribute type, that is type. If you want to get the attribute name, you mention name. If you want to get the attribute ID, you put ID here. So get the attribute type. So we are now saying if the attribute type is exactly password, all right, let the type change to text. At that point, the password is going to be visible. This is going to change to text. S is going to this text. S, then change it to password. That means if the type is not text, then change it back to password. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So it's just like saying if I want to explain this again, if password dot attributes get attribute, I really want you to understand this type. So that's the attribute we want to check. If is a conditional statement, if it is equals to password, that means if the attribute is password, then when I click that button, this toggle button, we want to change, we want the type to be equals to text. You see it. S, constant type will be equals to password. All right, so it's a toggle. So if it is text, it changes, this changes, when you click it, it changes it to password. If it is password, it changes back to text. Simple. So this line of code, this is the explanation of this line of code. And I think I've explained it enough. So in my next videos, I will just type it out without having to explain. All right. So that is that. So when that happens, so we are going to say this dot. So we'll now change the password dot set attribute. We are now setting the attribute now to type. Which attribute are we changing? Type, just the same way. Type. So let me explain this to you. So this password dot get attribute is only helping us to get the attribute. And what type of attribute are we getting? Attribute called type. Just like we have name. So now this password dot set attribute, now what it does is that it takes it takes the type. It's taking two parameters. Which attribute do you want to set? We want to set attribute type. What are you setting it to? This value, constant, this type that we have here. So it's going to either be setting it to text or password, depending on the default value of that attribute initially. I hope you understand that. It's not difficult. Just make sure your code works. As we proceed, these things we will continue to understand the more. So that brings us to, so then after that we'll now say this, I think I've explained this to you, this dot class list, we want to change the class list of toggle, we are going to toggle it. Okay, I mean, I don't know if this is, I haven't, the spelling of toggle is supposed to be TGO, toggle. It's supposed to be double G. All right, I think double G, toggle, then this one double G. So please make sure you change all the spelling. Then if you are not changing it, there is no problem. You can proceed, it will still work. So this does class list dot toggle. We are now changing the toggle from bi / to only bi. Okay, like this, bi only. So so we want to add the event start to the form so that nothing happens. So I'll just do constant form. Do we really need this? I'm not sure that we need it. So this will do the miracle for us. So let's try it out now. So let me refresh. So let me type, this is hidden. Let me click on it. Let me check the console. There might be an error in the console. All right, so on cut reference error, type is not defined. So line 48, type is not defined. Constant type, constant type, this is it, password type. Let me refresh again. Type is not defined. If maybe something is wrong here. Okay, so we have to return to use this. Let me bring it back up. Let's see, because it's saying type is not defined and I don't know why. So I'm going to just comment it out. It's actually supposed to work this way, but let's check. Okay, so let me try it now. Get attribute type equals to password text equals to, okay. So let me refresh. Let me still see. Cannot read property of undefined toggle. That is index.html line 52. Line 52. Just a minute. Let me fix that. Obviously this is supposed to work such that when I click on this, like it's changing this, but this is supposed to be changing from slash to high and it's not working. So I might have to write a line of code like this to make it work. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to write constant maybe type 2, okay, equals to, so I'm going to write toggle.password get attribute, just something like this. So I'm going to be changing the attributes from one to the other as we are clicking it. So get attribute, this time around I'm going to use class. So I'm using the attribute is class. All right, get attribute class of so this one is going to be toggle password, not password now, toggle password, because this is the toggle password. We are picking the ID, we are using the ID to pick it. So we are now going to be changing the class as we are clicking on that button itself. We will be changing the class of the button. So class, so if the class is this is the first class, if this is the class, we will change it to, if that class is this, we will change it to by.high, to this. Okay, so S, we change it back to the initial by.slash, paste. All right, so let me remove this. Let me remove this, comment it out, then just call toggle.setAttribute class to type 2. I hope you understand, type 2. All right, so it's the same thing. So as we are changing the type of the password, we're also changing the type of this particular attribute itself. So hopefully it should work now. All right, so it's working now. So as I'm clicking, it's working. So if I click this as password, so the moment I'm clicking this, slash means you can't see it. When it is the highest, you can see it. So that one works effectively well. All right, so it's having issue loading the CDN now because I'm not connected to the internet. So that's why that CDN is having issues. So, but of course, I mean, it's still working. Oh, let me go back. Okay, so still working. So everything is working now. So this brings us to the end of this particular tutorial on JavaScript. So please, like I told you, you have to move on now to, let me see your your calculator. Show me your calculator, show me this sign up box and how everything is working. If you have issues, you can reach out to me on Twitter. I will be ready to attend to those issues. So this is working fine now. So I don't know if we would have to do another practice, but I hope we can do 4 practices with this before we move to React.js. Please tag me on Twitter using Learn Coding with Tosin. Recommend this YouTube channel to others that might need it. Then please drop a tweet, drop a comment. Everybody, I want you to drop a comment on this particular video. Let me get a feedback that this video, this YouTube channel is actually of use to you. Please drop a comment, follow, and kindly share with others. Thank you so much.